I was trying to have the perfect diet and the perfect supplement routine and do the gut protocols to heal and cleanse and support the gut lining and leaky gut and all that stuff. And it wasn't moving the needle. And I just thought to myself, holy cow, I'm like literally burning the candle at both ends trying to heal and nothing is happening. Like what gives? And within 3 days of applying these simple steps, I had felt better than I had in years of trying these protocols and intensive supplement regimes and things like that. And so that's when I knew I'd stumbled upon something that we need to get out there.
Today's conversation is for the woman who feels a little bit like she's missing her own life. Like she's there physically, but her mind is racing and she can't quite downshift. She wants to be present with the person in front of her, but her brain won't always cooperate. This is for you if you're someone who doesn't want another complicated protocol. I am so sick of the protocols and loads of information. If you don't want another supplement stack, if you don't want to add something extra to your to-do list, this conversation is for you if you want to feel better, steady, to actually experience the moments when you're living and it's right in front of you. I am so excited for this conversation and to bring on this next guest. Today, I am joined by Carrie Bennett. She is a quantum biologist, educator, and founder of Soul Circle, whose work bridges light, frequency, and human biology in a way that is both grounded and, my favorite, profoundly practical. What I love about this conversation and Carrie's approach to this is it's not about doing more. This is about returning to what's already there. In this case, returning to nature, using what is already available to us, sunlight, darkness, rhythm, environment, to literally impact our cellular biology. She is not speaking from theory. She is a mom. She has a full life. She is not aiming for perfection. She's focused on microdosing in between our tasks. In this episode, you're going to walk away with simple, implementable shifts that you can use tonight and tomorrow morning to literally change how you sleep, how you feel, how you react, and how you show up. So if you've been craving something that feels both science-based, but also deeply human, this conversation is going to feel like the exhale that you've probably been craving. Let's dive in. Welcome, Carrie. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be an epic conversation for anyone who wants to feel really good, but doesn't want more stuff to do.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. I just love sharing this stuff, so I can't wait to get down to it.
Yes. Well, let's get right to it. So tell me, before we dig in here and how this has changed your life and your story, what is quantum biology?
Yeah, quantum biology, it's a bit of a put off when people hear it because they're like, oh, that's got to be way too scientific. It's over my head. It's not accessible. And the only thing about quantum biology, everyone knows the word biology, right? It's how the human body operates, basically our operating code. Quantum just is talking about the scale at which we're looking and supporting. So a lot of modern medicine, both natural and allopathic, focuses at the level of the chemicals. What chemicals are being produced, neurotransmitters, what hormones are being produced, which is perfectly fine. But we now know there's an operational code that goes below that level into more of the subatomic level. And that's just where the word quantum comes into place. We're talking about what's happening at the level of energy through things like light and charge and earthing. And we now have enough of a scientific paradigm surrounding it that we can actually call it applied quantum biology. We know how to basically the biophysics of nature, if you will. And that's just where we're talking about when we talk about the quantum biology and quantum scale.
I love that. And really, this is less about adding more to our plate, kind of like I teased at the beginning. And this is about returning, right? Returning to our baseline. And, any of us know when you do something like you go to the beach and you spend time in the sand or you walk in grass or you get in nature, we know that shift in how we feel. We instantly go from go mode into embodiment, into presence, into feeling like we can actually be with the person in front of us. And so this is now giving language to that, right? We know this feeling, and now there's language and kind of like a system and a science behind it that proves it to be true. Not that we need that, but I feel like sometimes we as women can feel guilty, right? Downshifting or clearing off our plate and just going in nature. But what I hope women realize by the end of this conversation, this isn't selfish. This is how we become self with. And Carrie has the science behind it. We're going to keep it really simple, but I want you to understand how powerful these subtle things are, like stepping outside in between your Zoom meetings for 5 minutes, right? This is self-care needs a rebrand, you guys. It's connection, and this is how we access it in real time, in real life. You have a story of how you came to this. So share that. Like, how did you come across quantum biology? How has it impacted you personally?
I wasn't searching for it. I came to it out of necessity. And just by, I think, the grace of God, because it was about now 14 years ago, my first child was born. I have 3, and he was not the greatest sleeper. And I all of a sudden started to develop debilitating insomnia, chronic fatigue, digestive issues. And I tried everything. I had what I thought was a very full toolbox at the time as a clinician. Undergraduate background in molecular biology. I had gone to massage therapy school and had studied the Eastern philosophies. I had a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. And so through all of these different frameworks, I was trying to have the perfect diet and the perfect supplement routine and do the gut protocols to heal and cleanse and support the gut lining and leaky gut and all that stuff. And it wasn't moving the needle. And I just thought to myself, holy cow, I'm like literally burning the candle at both ends trying to heal and nothing is happening. Like what gives? And I was up on my phone one night, which I don't recommend anymore. And I was scrolling, just searching. And I had like this deep knowing that I was missing something so foundational when it came to human health and human physiology. And that's when I stumbled upon a blog post that mentioned the words circadian rhythm. And I thought to myself, I have never heard those words in the framework of human health. So I am a continuous both. I'm basically an optimist, but a skeptic at the same time. So I thought this resonates with me. Let me dive deep into the research. What does this mean? What is my circadian rhythm? And how could that actually dictate anything about my health? And so I dove down this rabbit hole for several months, and I finally convinced myself that, oh my gosh, I think circadian rhythm is like literally one of the most foundational things to understand and to support in the human body. At which point I started to apply just really, really basic strategies, going outside, like you said, at certain times, making my house dim at other times, and, very, very basic steps. And within 3 days of applying these simple steps, I had felt better than I had in years of trying these protocols and intensive supplement regimes and things like that. And so that's when I knew I'd stumbled upon something that we need to get out there. And it just has built up because there literally is a science behind reconnecting with nature. And as a mom, I needed to know the science for me to say it's worth my time to go out there. It's not just me, laying on the beach chair, like, the deck chair, getting a tan. It's like, no, I'm literally in training my physiology and I'm supporting my health. And that makes me show up as a better person in all aspects of my life.
100%. I'm so glad you said that. I'm the same way. And I think this is what I love to share on this podcast and on this YouTube channel. I want to bring people in that will share the science behind, like ideally, honestly, one day I want women to just feel okay going and laying on the beach for a minute to fill our own cup, but like to understand truly what you're doing when you're doing that. And so I want to walk back in your story because I think this is very relatable and I want the woman listening to kind of anchor herself in this. The woman who's, laying down either in her bed on her own, next to her partner or next to her child, and feeling that feeling of like, what is wrong with me? What isn't working? Why, fill in the blank. Maybe for someone, it's why can't I sleep? Why am I always wired? Why do I feel behind? Why won't my brain stop? And so now looking back in that moment before you had this beautiful blog post that thank God someone shared, and we're going to get into circadian biology and science behind it in a minute, looking back to you laying in bed, scrolling your phone, and maybe certain lighting situations, can you just kind of call out some things that are very common in people's environments that are actually creating these situations that then we are driving ourselves crazy trying to fix with the next protocol, supplement, or next thing on our plate when it's just about clearing these out?
Yeah, this is a great place to start because the only thing I assumed about my environment, meaning my home or my office or something along those lines, was, do I have enough light during the day to be able to see? And at night when I'm, getting folding laundry, packing lunches in the morning, same thing. It's like all I cared about was, can I see? Is it clean enough? Right? Like I was very aware of toxins in my environment. But I didn't realize that modern living disconnected me so drastically from key signals my body needed in nature. So number one, we have this lighting situation these days where we can have lights on all hours of the day and night. And certainly we would have had access to campfire. But if you do what's called like a color comparison of the colors that are coming from campfire from the colors that are coming from a modern LED bulb or screen, they look drastically different. The other thing about it is that our modern lighting does something called flicker. In order to conserve energy, essentially, our bulbs turn on and off about 100 times per second. And that's not perceived by the naked eye. You can take a slow motion video in your environment and see which lights are flickering. And what I didn't realize is that that is such a massive stressor to the nervous system. I give the analogy of if you could perceive that in real time, you would think you're in a strobe lit club, like, the whole day long, simply because of these lights turning on and off. And certainly that led me to feel always anxious, always on edge. So here I am, have lights on any time of the day and night, specifically the night and early in the morning, and they're flickering like this at me. And, they're also emitting some electromagnetic fields that are kind of create a little bit of chaotic information signaling in my body. And I didn't realize it was really just that I was living in an environment that certainly I could see in and I could move around in, and it kept me warm and safe, but it wasn't necessarily giving me the correct signaling that my brain and body needed in order to run all my tasks, to truly feel safe. While I was physically out of the elements, my nervous system was saying, what in the world is going on? Where are you? What time of day is it? And as I started to make those connections and implement these strategies, everything came back into alignment.
Yeah, you think about it, again, it's like about doing less, not more, clearing out, not adding on. And, we wonder why our nervous system is stuck in survival. And we can start to try to do these audits of like, what's not going right in my life? What's wrong with me? And in reality, the lighting can play a huge role. Okay, so what is circadian rhythm and circadian biology simply? If you're a woman and it feels like your brain has 47 tabs open, you've got the kids asking questions, texts coming in, dinner to make, work to finish, and somehow you're still trying to think clearly, this is not a mindset issue. It is not a personality flaw. This is physiology and your nervous system stuck in urgency mode. I created this urgency reset, a simple 2-minute shift using brainwave-based tools to help your nervous system downshift so you can come back into clarity and presence. Because the goal isn't just managing the chaos, it's being present for the moments that you don't want to miss. So you don't look back later in life and realize the years with the people you love or just your own life slipped by. Click the links. This is a mini masterclass. It's like 15 minutes, and I cannot wait for you guys to check this out. Back to the episode.
Yeah, so circadian rhythm is just the fact that every living creature has an internal clock. And that internal clock has been entrained to the fact that we have always experienced a period of daylight and a period of darkness. Now, for those of you who live at the extremes, you may have a certain day where you don't experience very much darkness at all, or a ton of darkness, depending on the season. But even that is a circadian rhythm because it changes throughout the course of the year. That's a circadian rhythm. And so this entrainment to day and night, essentially that divides the day into 2 time periods. Daylight and darkness. But within that daylight and darkness time division, my brain has actually been able to sync up exactly what time of day it is based on where the sun is. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Miami and you can see the sun or you're in Michigan and it's cloudy. Right? It doesn't matter because that information of light, the light information is still coming to you. And what's happening is my brain has actually been able to key in on the exact time of day. And by doing so, it said, let's not be inefficient. There are certain processes we want to run in the morning. There are certain processes we want to run in the afternoon. There's certain processes we want to optimize in the evening and certainly at night when we're sleeping and we're in repair mode in these deeper phases of sleep. And so by connecting to the changing light that's provided in my external environment, my brain says, I know the time of day. I know what processes to run. I know what to optimize. And so therefore I can bring Carrie back into alignment or homeostasis. And it really sounds too simple and too good to be true, but the human body is this beautiful operating system, and we just have to provide it with the correct code and information and energy, and the systems all start to run correctly.
What is something that people notice when they start aligning with their circadian rhythm?
Very first thing that we'll notice, especially because we'll talk about some key practices involving morning light. But the very first thing people notice is we'll get more of an energetic surge or metabolic support or even a digestive support with that morning light. And there's beautiful scientific reasons that I am hypothesizing behind this. And so people will feel more energized in the morning, yet more focused, more present. And that is key as well. So it's not just that caffeination, like cup of coffee. I've had so many people actually quit caffeine or go from like needing 3 cups in the morning, 4 cups in the morning to like, yeah, I'm going to have a little cup just because it's like a ritual thing that I enjoy, but I don't need it to function. And so there's that beautiful aspect of it. On the other side, in the evening, we're going to get feelings of, wow, I truly want to wind down mentally and physically. One of the things that I was experienced was I was physically exhausted, but mentally wired. I could not shut it down. And if I fell asleep, I would quickly wake up and I couldn't get back to sleep. And so by recognizing how we can signal darkness to the brain, we really start to optimize all of the pathways in the brain that allow the mind to go into that restorative mode and get into that beautiful sleep onset and then run these repair programs when we are asleep. And so those are 2 things that can happen fairly quickly. And frankly, the beautiful part about this, Melissa, is if people have about $30 to invest in a good quality pair of blue blockers, specifically an orange tone pair, that's really the only investment that is ever needed in order to start to implement these strategies and continue, and the other cool thing before we dive maybe into different topics or expand is that I've never once come across, and I've been now working in this circadian quantum health space for a decade. I have never once found someone who started to implement these strategies as a lifestyle and said, oh no, I want to go back to staring at a TV screen at midnight, or, oh gosh, that morning light, that's garbage. Like that's just amazing. I love being able to say that because it truly becomes something that people feel is so supportive that they just want to continue to do it.
Yes. And I love your passion and excitement behind it. You can tell you actually feel this. I know you live this and you've got kids. So we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about what to change tonight, tomorrow morning. We'll talk about some kid stuff. I got to put like my brainwave stuff on this because my listeners hear me talk about brainwaves a lot and like the gears that we live in, right? And when we're feeling like we're stuck in survival or like we can't pay attention to what's in front of us, our brain is ramped up. Or like you said, laying in bed at night and you're exhausted, but you're wired and you can't shut off. We get stuck in gear 3, beta, right? Like our high rev, go, go, go mode. And what I'm hearing, what we're about to get into is, a little bit of morning sunlight gets you into present time flow. That's alpha, right? That's gear 2. That's where we're connected. That's where we can constantly I think one of the biggest flexes we as women, especially as moms, need is this switch. I call it the connection switch. And it's this ability to cognitive flex, to task switch smoothly. We're in work mode, our babies show up in front of us. We got to do the emails, then we got to pack the bag for soccer tomorrow, right? So like having the ability to go from gear to gear, and it sounds like light, the good or the bad, has a huge influence on what gear we're living in.
It absolutely does. Number one of the things I think is fundamental is that this light is information. And I say that in order for me to be able to feel like I can adapt in my environment, switch gears, switch modes, I have to have a couple of key signals. And the first signal that everyone's body and brain and physiology wants to know is, what time is it? I liken it to, let's say I woke up every morning and I was in some dark closet somewhere and had no idea, what time it was or even where I was on the planet. Automatically, my physiology would go into, oh no, I got to be up here. I really have to figure out what's going on. And so simply by going outside first thing in the morning, that changing light, the changes that happen in the light are caught by this clock in my brain that says, oh, we know what time of day it is. Okay, cool. We can sync up. Now, when we go outside too, And especially if we can earth and ground, so, touch bare skin to the earth, we actually help to geolocate ourselves. It's like our own like internal GPS. We've got these magnetic particles in us, these magnetite in us that just requires a little bit of what I call it's grounding, right? It's like you connect more strongly to your geographic signal. It's why the radio stations are going to ground their antenna. You enhance what's called the signal to noise ratio. You pick up on the signal more. When we're indoors, there's a lot of noise, right? This noise is coming from the artificial lights. It's coming from the appliances, the electrical wiring, the smart meters, it's coming from all those things. And when I can go outside and ground and connect to signal, I'm going to connect, and my brain knows what time of day it is and where I'm located. I feel safe. I then also have the beautiful thing that happens is with the brainwave state when we earth is we drop into that more Schumann alpha range, right? This dominant heartbeat that we connect with to the earth that puts me automatically into that creative focused flow state. Certainly I can jump a harmonic and I could be in low beta and I could be analytical and react, but I'm no longer up here. I'm no longer kind of in that, frazzle, go. Should I focus on that or that? And when I do focus, I can't focus. So there really is so much beautiful science behind how all of these things work together to automatically, it doesn't take effort on my part except going outside and doing this. Once we do, our physiology knows how to respond and get us into these flow states that allows us to be present and show up the way we want to show up.
Oh, that's so good. And let's anchor the woman listening or the man listening to what this flow state feels like, because I think you've all experienced it. But I want every time we're talking about alpha or flow state or grounded, that feeling. This is the analogy I give. I would love, Carrie, if you gave one too, if you have one. And then we'll go into what you guys actually can do and how long and how much and all the things. This is the state we're in after you have a great workout, right? You are alert, but like you're embodied. I use the word connected. You are like connected and steady and you can handle it all, but you're just like, you're just locked in. You're in the pocket. That is what Carrie is talking about. And we can achieve that throughout our day quickly by dipping into our circadian rhythm. Carrie, would you use another analogy?
No, I love it. I mean, having been an athlete and loving to work out, I love that analogy. I totally embody that. And that's exactly what it is. Or if you've even been an athlete and it's just like things feel effortless. You're in that state where you're being guided beyond what your logical brain. You just are in that state. And that's exactly what it does feel like. I mean, I've had people who in order to if they've got a task they really want to be in the flow state for, they will literally go outside at certain times during the morning and then come in. And it's just so much easier to focus and accomplish and feel like they're really truly in that flow state. I've had elementary school teachers take their kids outside for a brief break in the morning during this chunk of time. And then they come back in and they're like, that math lesson was no problem now. Because we all of a sudden got the information that we needed in order to help our body be in that focused flow state.
Yes. And the more you do this work, because I have learned so much from you over the years and I implement this in my life, the more you do this, you realize this comes first, right? So like you've got a heavy task, you've got a heavy project in front of you, whatever it is, like an email, a Zoom meeting, writing, blah, blah, blah. This comes first. Because then the other thing is easy. So this is the most important work. Get out, play, get an alpha, then do the thing because the thing will just come through you in that flow state. So for the person listening, give me let's tell them tonight what to change, like one simple thing to help align with their circadian rhythm. Let's do tonight and tomorrow morning just to start off. How long? How do they know when they've checked it off, when they've done it for the beginner?
Okay, this is perfect. So the first thing you can do without purchasing anything right now is figure out where in your house you've got like maybe little table lamps. And even before you change bulbs, put those lamps low or even on the ground. Or let's say you've got some like red Christmas lights or something. Put your lighting low and as dim as you feel safe. Because the light that we're used to in the evening would have been campfire. It wouldn't have been these recessed light bulbs that are all throughout our houses these days. And so if you can turn those off and have low lighting and just make it dimmer, watch and see what's going to happen with your nervous system and with your desire to fall asleep earlier, even just kind of like oh, right. Okay, great. Because the little sensors in our eyes that are like kind of anticipating the time of day and where the sun is, they're tuned into an angle where the sun's high. And so they're not going to be as active with low light, a light that's low on the ground. So that's step one tonight. You do that tonight. In the future, you just get a basic pair of orange tone blue blockers, right? And you put them on as soon as certainly there's apps. Like my friend Sarah has an app, right, that you could use to understand when sunset is and sunrise in certain times. I highly, highly recommend. But you can keep it simple and be like, I'm looking outside my window and I don't really see the tree in my backyard as well. It's dark enough. I'm going to put my orange tone blue blockers on. This orange to the brain simulates campfire. It simulates, okay, it's that time, right? We're winding it down now. And so you would just wear these before bed. Now, don't drive with them. There's times where I can't do it at perfect darkness. I coach basketball. Like tonight, for example, I'm coaching my kids basketball. I will be in the gym with a hat on. And because these are yellow. They don't love me wearing my yellow. This is a compromise. One of my kids is fine with the other. But so anyways, I will have a hat on and I'll be wearing that hat. And as soon as I get home, I'm going to put my orange tone blue blockers on and signal darkness is here, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. And so that's what I'll do. I'll also check in to be like, I'll say, why don't you check in with your sleep space? As you're falling asleep, let your eyes adjust. If you can see your hand really clearly in front of your face, there's likely some light that's coming in maybe from the outside, maybe from the bathroom, maybe from the hallway, maybe from little lights or things that are plugged in. Start working on that, right? Get some blackout curtains or it can look ugly at first. You get that duct tape and just see what it feels like to throw a sheet above where the light could be coming over the curtain rod and duct tape it up and just see how much better you sleep in a dark sleep space. So those are just some things that you could do right away. And then in the morning, I tell people, try not to make your cell phone something you check in with first thing. If you can have an alarm clock that doesn't involve that screen, great. Otherwise, if you're using your cell phone, you can Google this. On Android, the app is called Twilight, and on Apple, you have to go to the accessibility settings, but just Google how to turn my Apple phone screen red. If you learn how to turn your phone screens red, I'm going to show you what my phone here looks like. I just had it completely powered off.
Yes, I have that too, the click filter.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, we can link. I made a video on it because people asked me so often. So we'll link that below. It's a triple click shortcut setting.
That's perfect because that red screen, now all of a sudden, if I wake up in the middle of the night or if I want to check my phone to see what time it is, no blue light is coming from it. So I'm not like signaling, and that blue light's synonymous with the middle of the afternoon, right? So I'm not signaling the middle of the afternoon to my brain. So it's super simple, right? You basically either install that app once or install the shortcut once, and now it's done. Now you just use it before sunrise and after sunset. So super simple there. And then in the morning, however best possible, go outside. Let's say the sun, it's like daybreak and the light starts to brighten the sky. And then, within those first 2 hours, go outside. If you can get a chunk of 20 minutes or accumulate 20 minutes, amazing. Like that's where truly the impact is going to start to be felt. But if all you have is 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, do it. Because that consistent input is going to build what we call circadian predictability. So that when you do have that 20 minutes and you're out there, that just reinforces it. So I say it's way better to do the 2 minutes consistently than to do 2 hours on a Saturday, because you're not going to get that same predictability built in. Those 2 minute chunks matter. And then throughout the day, same thing, just go out little chunks. Now we're talking without sunglasses and glasses if possible. Right? If you wear glasses, fine. I mean, you can put them down, you can put them up. The light will seep around it. But sunglasses are like putting a garbage bag over a plant and saying, oh, I swear there's light. I swear there's light. And the brain just can't see it, literally, because the sunglasses are blocking that signal. So, yeah, I mean, those are just some simple things you can do. And honestly, try that for a week. Just start to see how you feel, because those little shifts alone can be enough to move the needle quite substantially.
100%. And thank you for giving practical tips and also giving examples for what to do when you can't always control it, right? So like you wearing the hat at basketball. I have the blue light blockers as well. I love them. We can link some below that we both use and love. And then there's moments where it's just not feasible, or it just, sometimes to me it feels like a disconnect with who I'm with. And so I don't use them, but then we do other things, or we know, okay, tonight I might not sleep so well and I'm not wondering why. I know exactly. And so there's power and control in that. The other thing that you said that I want to piggyback off on, because this is really, really important, is the 2 minutes, the power of the 2 minutes. I love microdosing, right? I call that microdosing. So we're microdosing sunlight in our circadian rhythm. And again, let's get away from these old belief systems that we have to have an hour to make an impact. Because what we're doing, and I would love for you to add to this, is we're literally impacting our nervous system, right? And so we're teaching our nervous system, I can get out of urgency and survival and into safety. And from a nervous system perspective, the short, frequent, consistent bouts actually work better than getting 2 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. You're 100% right. What a lot of people don't realize with nervous system work is the autonomic nervous system is tied to circadian rhythm. And it wants to know the time of day in order to sense that safety signal and know, because there's certain times where we may need more parasympathetic activity in certain organ systems and more sympathetic activity in others. And so it's tied to that as well. And so when we can give those signals consistently, all of the organ systems in relation to what the autonomic nervous system is basically telling it, it can come into alignment. It can come into homeostasis, perfectly optimized function. And so that I love that microdosing, because that's exactly it. And you can microdose too. Like this time of year, I'm microdosing these light breaks when I'm driving to school, right? Like I got the sunroof open. I mean, I'm in Michigan, it's 30 degrees. I got the sunroof open, or, sometimes the windows will be cracked down depending on the temperature. And that's how I'm getting, it's like, okay, this is my morning light right now. Here we go. Or like, if I don't have, like, one of the cars doesn't have a sunroof, if I don't have that car, when I'm in the parking lot, before I leave the parking lot, there's a parking spot that I could like literally pull in really quickly. It faces east. I roll the windows down halfway. I look up to the sky for a couple minutes. Then I zoom. And then sometimes even when I'm at a red light, there's this red light on my way home that faces east over a highway bridge. I know exactly that I could roll that window down again and get my extra little minute of light in. So these are ways that you can do it where it's not about needing to have like this sacred space in your backyard that you go to get this light. Like literally this could be done in a modern schedule with a busy, taking the kids, going to work, those types of things. It's just, now that I recognized it as a priority, I began to realize how I can integrate it into what I'm already doing, whether it's a drive or a walk or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing there too is you're no longer just pushing through and waiting till the end of the day till you can get that 1 hour sunlight, whatever. Like you just said, you're integrating this into your day. And this is the power, right? This is how we completely change the way that we feel at the end of the day when we finally get the opportunity to relax. But so many of us, when we get there, we're like wired and snappy and can't be present. This is how we change that. It's the microdosing, these mini sun breaks.
That's exactly it. Frankly, if I waited until the end of the day, I likely wouldn't do it, because I've tried that strategy with other things before, right? Oh, I'll do it when I'm done with work. I'll do it when I'm done with the laundry. I'll do it. And it never gets done. And so the beauty of this is it's simple. I notice a big difference when I'm intentional about these little sun breaks. So I want to do them, and it makes me show up better for work. It makes me feel like I'm not frazzled when I'm with my kids, so I show up better for them. I show up better for my husband, all these things. And so, yeah, I would say, there's actually the science is also showing that if you microdose, if you kind of front load your microdosing, it's actually a bigger physiological impact than waiting till the end of the day as well. In terms of thyroid health, focus, mood, inflammatory levels, all these things. So I encourage you to figure out where within the first 2-3 hours of your day you can add in these microdoses.
Huge. Okay, I want to pivot to kids. How do we incorporate this with our kids? Is there anything else you want to say before I ask you a couple kid-specific questions?
No. I think we're good. I think we're good with like some really really basic, but can be profound strategies that you can implement on a regular basis. I was doing this, for myself. I was going outside in the morning, wearing the blue blockers. At the time, I only had one kid, right, when I was first doing it. And so at first for me, it was easy with him because I would just bring him outside with me. And he really quickly recalibrated his sleep schedule and his sleep quality. We were working with him on a lot of different nervous system stuff as well. Shockingly, at such a young age, I think because I was so dysregulated, part of it, he was rather dysregulated. And so really quickly it started to bounce with him because he was so young. My husband was observing this and I didn't force anything, right? And so, I offered a pair of orange tone blue blockers and it was like, what are those weird things? Like, why am I gonna wear those weird sunglasses? Okay, that's perfectly fine, right? And so I modeled it. I modeled it for about 3 or 4 years. And then all of a sudden he was just like, your joints don't hurt anymore? No, you just ate gluten. You're not just literally doubled over, for days. No, wow, you sleep really deeply, but wake up with a lot of energy. And so he started then just reaching for them. And as he started reaching for them, I was like, okay, this is cool. And so then here both of us are establishing this beautiful, just natural routine of at a certain point in the night, I put mine on usually before him because the darkness for me and any artificial light, I notice it with a different awareness. He's perfectly fine putting them on a little bit later than me. He'll put them on. And then we got our little family dynamic. My children at the time, and we're still young, going to bed early enough. We weren't watching, a football game or anything at night, things like that. But my oldest started staying up later because it was Monday Night Football and the Bears were playing, or, it was whatever, right? And so he and my husband, that was kind of a fun little bonding thing for them. And wouldn't you know it, he just started on his own, picking up a pair of them. And I don't have to ask. He just puts it on. And when, let's say he comes home from basketball practice, it's not perfect. Last night he came home from basketball practice at 9:15 at night. And my husband was still watching something, waiting up for him. And wouldn't you know, he wanted to just sit and chat with my husband for a little while, wind down, and didn't have to ask him. He just went into the drawer, pulled him on, and then put him on and just sat with him. And because he knows it feels better at night, to wear them. And so I would say start by modeling it and having it available. And then there are things you can control that aren't necessarily going to create like this friction. Meaning you can maybe change your light bulbs to like dimmer, warmer, beautiful incandescent bulbs. Or there are some companies that make LEDs that are more like sleepy time baby, type LEDs. And those could be the lights that you use in the evening. Or if you want to buy your kids some blackout curtains and change the curtains, those are generally low friction ways that you can change things. But in terms of like the blue blockers and stuff like that, I say just to model it. Model the screen stuff too. It's like I put my screen down, even if it's red at a certain time of the night, and I want to be more present. And so if we start to model that behavior, then I think they're more likely just to naturally go in with the flow with that.
Absolutely. I love the quote. It's like, your actions speak so loud, I can't hear your words. And our kids really learn through role modeling. And what's great in that is for the woman who needs permission, taking this time for herself or doing these things for herself or investing in a pair of blue light blockers for herself to wear at night, permission to do so, because that is how your children will learn. I love that. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think this has been the coolest thing about this is just seeing, I wasn't sure when it first started, but seeing how the family has really just jumped on board with this. And now we all feel supported because of it. So it's just been a blessing for sure.
It's so beautiful. I always love to share too, this is a journey. This is like a sliding scale, right? So for us, we have our house is all red lights at like by 7 p.m. at this point, and you feel it. Like I cannot go into a room in the evening and be blasted with light. It's like canary in a coal mine, right? And our kids joke about it, but at the same time, like they crave and create it too. And we've got 15, 13, and 9, and they're like in their bedrooms winding down, if not sleeping, by 8:30. Because of our light environment, we do not have bedtime fights. So this is so powerful, and it feeds on itself. And it's like, okay to start small, like Carrie said, like move your lamp slow. Go to Amazon, get some red light bulbs. We've got a red light, therapeutic red light that we love that we stick in the middle of the family room. It's like a little bonfire. Start where you can and just start to expand, and it's going to feel good. So it's going to build on itself. I would love to ask, is there like another category that we want to touch real quickly? We're kind of getting to the point where we'll start to wrap up. I want to make sure we get to talk about your community because that's a great resource. Maybe after the light, like what was the next thing that you started to change in your environment that made such a big impact from a quantum energetic perspective?
I became very aware of the electromagnetic fields coming from things like my wireless router, AirPods, Alexas, my cell phone and things. And it's a broad topic. We could do an entire podcast on this alone. But what I didn't realize, if we're going back to kind of like the whole brainwave conversation, these devices are emitting waves of energy that are vibrating millions to billions of cycles per second, right? And so if I'm a body that's always trying to key in on the signals in my environment and then entrain and respond to them, you can imagine what it could feel like if I'm got these frequencies that are literally going millions of times per second. And so my oldest, part of what he was experiencing that we didn't realize in our house we had when he was young was that it wasn't grounded. The outlets, the wiring wasn't grounded. And we were right directly next door to a fire station that had what I thought was just this beautiful, very tall flagpole, right? And I didn't realize that it was an early trial in my city of 4G at the time. And as I started to dive into this information more, and I was just like, oh my gosh, let's get an electrician to ground the outlets. And frankly, what we ultimately did was move because we had a growing family. And that actually was the next layer of not realizing how these electromagnetic fields that are present in my close environment were really keeping me on edge even still. I was feeling great, don't get me wrong, but I noticed a palpable difference when I unplugged the Wi-Fi router at night, when we had grounded outlets, when I stopped having Alexas or smart tech and things like that. I knew enough that I never started to wear Apple Watches or AirPods, but when I've seen clients make the shift of going to wired headsets and just old school watches and things like that, and them being able to say, wow, I do really feel like I have this edge taken off of me because they've changed essentially the frequencies in their environment.
A question I get a lot is, do you have any wearables for your kids that help block the EMFs for when they're out in the environment? Do you do anything like that? I haven't really found anything that I love yet.
Yeah. Look up the Blue Shield company, BLU, Blue Shield. What they've done is they figured out, they've got watches, they've got little cards and stuff. They figured out how to essentially create a wave cancellation. So in terms of the high frequency waves, they figured out how to both cancel it and then also imprint those waves that once you cancel wave, you still have a carrier wave, and how to imprint that with basically the frequencies of nature to give you a more dominant field to entrain to. So you can essentially bring this field of energy into your living space or even as a wearable that allows your physiology to not feel threatened. And they've done studies all the way down to the level for me, certainly the nervous system, certainly HRV, things like that. But they've actually studied the mitochondria in multiple ways, including this thing called the calcium channels on the cells, calcium channels, you want them to just kind of open, close, wait a little while, open, close, wait a little while. When we have too many of these wireless devices around us, these calcium channels stay open, and that stresses the cells. They show that their technology allows those calcium channels to go back to normal physiology, which to me is huge because it's operating all the way down at the level of the cell and even the mitochondria.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. We can link some info on that below. And then one more thing, I want to go back to the Wi-Fi router because that's something really easy, doesn't cost anything. So people can turn off their Wi-Fi router at night. So tell them, basically how to do this. What does this do? What do you notice?
Sure. So, the simplest way to do it is literally you go to the plug in the wall, at the outlet, and unplug it, right? You can also go to places like techwellness.com, and August has like a kill switch that you could tie. So you could essentially have a little button on your nightstand that automatically will shut the Wi-Fi off. And then in the morning, if you need it on, you can turn it back on. And so those are two different options. And what I've noticed is it allows, the science and just my clinical observation ring true. You actually start to make more melatonin. People don't realize that EMFs are light that we just can't see, like ultraviolet light or infrared light. And when we reduce that light pollution in our interior living space, we actually allow our pineal gland to make more melatonin. So people report much better sleep, better dreams, waking up more refreshed. So those are certain things. I also noticed that when we unplug it, let's say in individuals who have potentially even had trauma in response to sleep and darkness, they've noticed too that unplugging it allows them to feel more supportive, less on edge, less anxious at night, because that frequency is no longer permeating their sleep space. I've also had clients, in their sleep space unplug stuff, because things that are plugged into outlets kind of pull the EMFs out. And so just unplug it. And if you can unplug that, you can turn off your wireless router, have a dark room to sleep in. It can feel like a game changer in terms of being just such a safe haven to get this deep restorative sleep.
Yeah, for sure. And you notice this when you sleep in a hotel, right? I think a lot of us have really poor sleep in a hotel because it's plastered with these EMFs. Is there anything that you do when you travel to mitigate that? We're about to go on a trip next week.
I mitigate the light to the best of my ability. I also bring a sleep mask, and I basically say, I don't know. I also have this concept that we're stronger mentally than we realize, mentally, physically. I actually almost put up a little shield, because I find that sometimes fearing it's oftentimes, right? Almost always fearing the thing is worse than the thing itself. And so I embrace the joy, the sunlight, the swimming, the seashells, wherever I'm going, right? I embrace the fact that I'm going into this new experience. I can't control everything. And I know that even if my sleep sucks for a little while, I'll be able to come back, and I know how to recover it just fine.
Such a realistic approach. This is why I bring people like this on. This is not living in a container, not black and white, not either or. This is both and. We can know these things, we can make some impact in our life, but we don't need to make ourselves crazy. Thank you so much, Carrie. Let me know, where can people find you, and tell us about your epic community, the Soul Circle.
Certainly. So you can find me at Carrie B Wellness, both on Instagram and carriebwellness.com. Also Carrie B Wellness on YouTube. And I've had this amazing private community now for 5 years, and it's just continuing to grow and grow. We meet weekly. It's how I really help people engage with this information and then provide what would be similar to one-on-one support, but just in this beautiful community setting where I now also have over 50 practitioners in this community who also join these calls. And so what happens is people join, you can ask, on a live call, you can ask me questions about your health or how to implement this based on this situation. If you can't make the call live, there's a way that you could just put it in the queue to have me answer. And this is a way that we've been able to just embrace understanding how to apply the science of light and earthing and hydration and all these other and non-native EMFs, in a way that we can all benefit from. I found that I was answering in one-on-ones the same question over and over and over again, and not able to meet as frequently as was needed in order to truly help people embrace the different, maybe little troubleshooting that they needed, that they would need in order to make this a true lifestyle. And so through this community, we've been able to address a lot of health challenges and see people on this beautiful health journey in ways that not only are they benefiting from, but now they've got the information and the journey behind them that they can also then take the new people in the community and help as well. There's 3 tiers to it. One, you can join just to search through 600 hours of content. The other one, you can join live, and then there's my practitioner. So there's a place for everyone. And if you're thinking about joining and poking around, you can always start in the very base community and take my Quantum Fundamentals course. It takes you through just the essentials of this stuff. And it's basically just boiled down to just give me the nitty gritty. And that's a great place for you to start, regardless of whether you have a diagnosis or certain symptoms. Because as we talked about, Melissa, this is just fundamental human health, right? Human physiology, nervous system support. And when we can address something at this level, that's where you start to get these non-linear effects where, oh, wow, I was looking to support this, but now I feel better here and here and here. And so I truly encourage people to learn about how to apply this if you need the extra help.
Yes. Oh my God, you guys, check that out. All the links are below. Carrie is the real deal. I have known her for years. She is an incredible resource. I mean, you guys feel this woman is full of passion, integrity. She has the knowledge. And my favorite, you have such a realistic approach for moms and busy women, today's women. Carrie, thank you so much for being here. We will link everything below. You guys go follow her, check her out, join her community, and we will see you soon. Self-care needs a rebrand, and that's exactly why I wrote this book, The Connection Code, and it's out now. I'm so excited. I wrote this for the woman who feels like she has lost herself or just simply needs a reminder that everything she's searching for is already inside of her. Inside this book, you're going to find simple, science-backed tools to help you reset in real life moments, like in the carpool line or between back-to-back meetings, or maybe when you catch yourself unfortunately snapping at the people you love most. I designed the cover and made it playful on purpose because so many of us have lost this aspect of ourselves, and we need that invitation and reminder to bring back joy every single day. Pre-order your copy today, and you'll also get access to some amazing freebies to help you start regulating your nervous system and reconnecting with yourself right away.